Palpatine is back in Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker, and that decision to do so by JJ could either make or break the movie. Just like you all, I'm incredibly curious how exactly Palpatine will be brought back, and what his role will be. But at the same time, I'd be lying if I said I also wasn't disappointed as well. Both The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi already rely plenty on the original trilogy for story elements and the visuals. But man, now we're even taking its villains too? Seems kind of desperate if you ask me. But with that said, if done right, then I'll be okay with the decision. And that's the real question here. How will it be done? Of course, no one outside Lucasfilm and Disney know the answer to this. But that hasn't stopped some really good theories and predictions being spawned on how exactly Palpatine's return to Episode 9 will look like. So here are 10 of the top 10 theories in no particular order on how Palpatine will feature back in the Star Wars saga. Number 1. With Operation Cinder, we were able to meet Palpatine's Sentinel droids. Majority of these weren't able to do much other than play pre-recorded messages from their head. However, there were a few Sentinels that were actually sentient, and it's possible that some of these survived after Operation Cinder. Perhaps even the First Order may have reactivated one Sentinel that they either found or had kept in storage for so many years. Number 2. Palpatine is a dark spirit haunting the remains of the Death Star. As it's been laid out in canon, the Sith can't become Force ghosts, but they can in rare circumstances attach their spirits to an item. We've seen this happen with Momin in the comic books, who had his spirit attached to his helmet, and as well an unnamed female Sith soul in a holocron from Rebels. So considering how Palpatine was supposed to be the strongest Sith in existence in canon, it wouldn't be a stretch by any means to assume that Palps would be strong enough within the Force that he could have ended up haunting either his throne or even the entire Death Star itself. Number 3. While similar to the last theory, this time it's relating to the damaged Darth Vader helmet that Kylo Ren has and speaks to in The Force Awakens. But what if that helmet is now haunted by Palpatine's spirit? In Return of the Jedi, we see plenty of mysterious blue energy that explodes out of Palpatine's body after being thrown by Vader, and a lot of that goes through Vader's helmet. As we've seen through past examples in canon, each time this blue energy occurs, it's done on purpose, as Palpatine is conjuring something through Sith sorcery. So seeing that exact same blue energy in the moment when Palpatine is thrown down the Death Star reactor shaft may not be a coincidence. And what if Palpatine's spirit is at that moment latched onto Vader's helmet in order to control him? However, that attempt is obviously futile as Vader ends up shortly dying, leaving the haunted helmet useless. But eventually Kylo Ren gets his grandfather's helmet and talks to it as we see in The Force Awakens. But the twist is, the voice is not actually Vader's, but really Palpatine manipulating him. Then by Episode 9, Kylo realizes this and tries to break out of Palpatine's evil grasp, possibly with the help of Rey maybe. Number 4. According to the movie leaks, Kylo Ren will face a new threat from the Beyond in Episode 9. As of right now, no one knows what the Beyond itself exactly is, on whether it's a part of somewhere of the galaxy or an entirely different dimension or world like the World Between Worlds. We also know that Palpatine maintained several observatories throughout the galaxy, with each one being part of his goal to find out what laid beyond the known galaxy. So if anything, the Beyond could be just that, whatever existed beyond the galaxy. Regardless of where this Beyond is, it's possible that this new threat from the Beyond could be a vision or a spirit of Palpatine that was summoned there by the Acolytes of the Beyond, which were a group of dark-side worshippers led by Yup Tashu, who was one of Palpatine's closest advisors. Since the fall of the Empire, the Acolytes of the Beyond were busy in scouring the galaxy in search of different dark-side relics and artifacts, especially those that belonged to Darth Vader and Palpatine. Considering how closely tied the Acolytes of the Beyond were with Palpatine and literally worshipped him, it would make plenty of sense to have them be part of Episode 9 in somehow summoning Palpatine's evil spirit from the dead. Number 5. Palpatine will be a hologram message or seen through a Force vision. This is a fairly common theory and a rather safe one of introducing Palpatine into the Sequel Trilogy. It would still fall in line with Palpatine not returning as a living being, but still have some kind of presence in the movie. Palpatine's hologram or Force vision could also potentially hold some information, or clues on the supposed MacGuffin found in the movie that everyone is seeking. Number 6. Another very common theory is that Palpatine will return as a clone. This is actually taken straight out of the Dark Empire comic book series of the old EU, which had Palpatine make a comeback as a clone, well, many different clones. Now, considering that cloning is definitely canon in Star Wars since Episode 2, which came out after Dark Empire did, then truth be told, it is difficult to write off this theory. Not to mention, Palpatine did also have laboratories across the galaxy, and it could be possible that he used the same exact technology that built the clone army to now instead create a clone of himself as part of the contingency plan once he had died. Number 7. Palpatine influenced or possessed Snoke with his essence. We know thanks to the Clone Wars and Rebels that Palpatine dabbled in Sith sorcery, so it's plausible that he may have used these means before Return of the Jedi to use a piece of his spirit in possessing Snoke, the same mysterious individual who is said to have seen the rise and fall of the Empire, knew quite a lot about the dark side, and even had the ability of Force Lightning, a traditional Sith Force ability, which of course is strange as Snoke wasn't a Sith. Not to mention that Palpatine's theme song also plays each time Snoke is present in both The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. And just like Palpatine, Snoke became too overly confident and was betrayed by his apprentice. But just because Snoke was dead, that doesn't mean that Palpatine's spirit possessing him was gone as well. Rather the contrary, as Snoke was merely only a physical vessel for the spirit. And with that vessel no longer available, then it's possible that Palpatine's spirit then begun seeking a new host. Which, if this theory holds up, then that new host will be revealed in Episode 9. Number 8. Palpatine found a way into the world between worlds. We know that Palpatine was obsessed with the idea of the world between worlds and was desperate in exploring any avenue he could in getting there, even trying to be kind to Ezra in order to steal his secrets on entering the world between worlds. But as seen in Rebels, he doesn't achieve his goal in getting there. However, who's to say he never did at a later time? Considering Rebels takes place before Episode 9, Palpatine still had plenty of time in figuring out a way to get inside there. And if he did, maybe he went back in time to save himself from death. Or maybe another individual like Snoke or one of his acolytes saved him from death. Or he just created a portal into the world between worlds using his Sith alchemy, right when he was thrown down the Death Star reactor shaft. Number 9. Palpatine is brought back as half man, half machine. Now hear me out, this theory actually comes from one fan who recently became semi-famous for guessing the title of Episode 9, all the way back in 2012. Back in November 21st of 2012, one person named Gabriel Garcia randomly tweeted out that Star Wars Episode 7 will be called The Rise of Skywalker, and afterwards stating that the Emperor lives. Now, while Gabriel didn't get the episode number correct, he was by all means on the ball when it came to the movie title. As for Palpatine living again, well, who knows about that? But Gabriel afterwards tweeted out stating that this would be possible as the Imperial Royal Guards would rescue Palpatine from submersion, and then healing him with General Grievous parts, thus making him more machine than man. And let's not forget, the Royal Guard's sole purpose was to keep Palpatine safe no matter what, and they would have been the only ones who wouldn't have run away during the destruction of the Death Star. They would have done their best to try and save Palpatine, no matter what state he was in, and likely transport him to one of his laboratories across the galaxy in an attempt to keep him alive. It's an interesting theory to say the least, especially from someone who predicted all of this back in 2012. And who knows, maybe some of this was intended for the original Force Awakens script. And for all we know, maybe Gabriel Garcia knows someone or works for Lucasfilm, or at least they did during 2012. Either way, this theory is something worth noting nonetheless. Number 10. Cheating Death. Palpatine's master Darth Plagueis was said to be able to know the secret to cheating death, and Palpatine then killed Plagueis after learning everything he possibly could from him. So maybe it's possible that Palpatine used this technique that he learned from Plagueis in order to cheat death himself. Although we have no idea the process behind this, and cheating death could mean almost anything. Personally, I think that Palpatine isn't alive, and will instead be back as either an evil spirit haunting the Death Star or Vader's helmet, or just simply return through a Sith holocron. However, if I'm being honest, almost anything is possible at this point, so it's worth noting all of these theories, no matter how safe or crazy they may sound. But let me know down in the comment section on which of these theories that you think has the best chance of actually coming true. Or if you have an even better theory yourself, let us know. Then the better chance we all have on eventually figuring out what JJ ended up going with. Oh, and let me know if you even like the idea of Palpatine returning back in Episode 9 in the first place. I'm curious to see how many people are for or against this idea. As always, be sure to like and share this video, as well to keep it here to Silo for everything on the latest in Star Wars. And 7 from Silo, signing out.